Good morning, everyone. It's a bright and beautiful Wednesday morning here in our studios, and we're excited to kick off another edition of our dynamic breakfast show. We call this Ways Breakfast, which means what are you saying breakfast. This is the show where the youth perspective takes center stage. This isn't your average morning program. Here we bring you fresh, thought-provoking conversations led by passionate young voices. From the latest in politics and national affairs to trending topics, health and wellness tips, mental health, everything you can think of, we got you covered. And we're also diving into the cutting-edge world of tech and finance. We also have a focus on what matters most to the next generation. My name is Omotoshola Shari Makinsay. A very big thank you to you for joining us this beautiful Wednesday morning. Although I'm supposed to have the full house, but I have with me Wayoma. Yeah, hello, ma'am.
Hey.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm doing good. And I like how you're looking.
Oh, thank you.
I feel like there's a contrast. All corporate and firm, and you're all,
Please stop.
Ashrabi vibe
Stop
kind of
it.
thing.
Stop.
But it's cool.
So let's play a quick game.
Okay.
We all know what's trending right now in the social media space. I mean, when I keep telling you, our listeners, our viewers, that this show is different. I mean, we ease things, we talk serious conversations, and we also will let loose a little. So we're playing the suspect game.
Okay.
Suspect. We're not running now. We're sitting
Okay.
down. So I go first, you go after, and just like 3 rounds, and then we'll take a break. Is that fine?
Yeah, no. But if
So-
you shade me on national TV, I'm going to deal with you after the show.
Okay, so should I start first or you start
Please go
first?
first.
Suspect. Suspect sleeps for a living when she's not planning to come to the office.
That's not me, right?
So who's that?
Cannot be me. Okay, this one. Suspect is a social media person that has not posted on Instagram since November 6th.
That was too direct.
Yeah,
I mean, you have to take it easy
Yes.
on me. I've been thinking of ideas, but it's just not coming. Well,
I'm sure another suspect.
suspect always needs everything to create content, but we end up not creating it.
Okay, we're doing shading now. Which one will I give you now? Suspect, deep down in her heart, wish she could come on air looking like a masquerade because this wig is always being forced on her. She wants to come with her natural hair. Suspect.
Suspect likes to look natural. Suspect comes to office looking like a pass, but appears on there looking like a Gen Z body.
My dear, if you know what we're going through, we just have to not show it on air.
Right.
Oh, I don't tell you, I'm not narrating to talk again.
Suspect is not following our YouTube channel at Official Upgrade TV. Go
That's-
click the subscribe button now. Yes, you. Yes. So this morning, it's no more news that our West days are for health conversations, but this morning we are going to be diverting our attention to the housing, real estate part of the world. I mean, this is like a continuing conversation from last night's conversation was on wealth creation, housing. This morning, we are going to make it as relatable as possible, and our guest will be joining us later to further shed light on this. Now we are going to run off of this break, and when we come back, we're going to our headlines across the globe. I mean, there are a lot of news on today's headline. You do not want to miss any of it. Please be on standby. You're welcome back to the show. It's time to take a look at what the headlines are saying this morning. This morning, we're looking at only the national interest stories, and I will be starting from the Guardian newspaper. The Guardian newspaper major headline reads 2025 Appropriation Bill. Fiscal order awaits 47.9 trillion naira budget, MDA's mobilization capacity. Under it, we have, while the proposed budget is ambitious, it is essential to implement effective strategies to increase revenue generation. This includes strengthening tax administration, expanding the tax base, and improving tax compliance. By taking this step, Nigeria can work towards a more sustainable fiscal future. And as the breakdown of the appropriation bill, we have 19.6 trillion naira going to oil revenue target, 13.07 trillion naira going to deficit, 5.7 trillion going to non-oil taxes. Government-owned enterprises takes 2.87 trillion naira. 3.6 trillion naira for independent revenues, while 4.8 trillion naira for other sources. Away from that, on Ondo Guba polls, Ajayi, the candidate for the People's Democratic Party, rejects results, vows to take legal action. Social challenges, Tinubu warns of unrest, as Zulum decries IDP camp polygamy. Besides it, Falano underscores rights to free education, flays errant state governors. Tompolo accuses Navy of aiding oil thieves in Niger Delta. Federal government revokes directives relating to NYSC posting restrictions. Another story reads, food insecurity threatens Nigerian stability. Future, says Minister. Senate VP bid Uber farewell with glowing tributes. The last headline on the page of the Guardian newspaper reads, expansionary budget will worsen inflation, FX crisis, and next warns federal government. And the headlines I'd like to quickly touch on, although I will not be taking more details, is from the Ondo Goba polls. The PDP candidate has rejected the results and is ready to take the matter to court.
Are you serious?
Yeah, if there's something I feel like our politicians should have learned, maybe they are not going to court to get result. Maybe they are just going to court. Like Obi said when he lost the 2023 presidential polls. He said he's not going to court to go like counter the result or maybe make the result in his favor, but going to court maybe for legacy reasons or something. So I really do not understand why.
So it shows that I did not just back down from the fight.
Oh, without a fight?
Is that what they're trying to?
Because I mean, this is a time where lawyers are going to make more money, and there'll be a lot of, we adjourn this case to next year, we adjourn. I feel like in situations like this, if it was a close marking, I would have said, okay, no problem. I mean, go to court. Let's see if it can come in your favor. But it wasn't close at all. He won. I mean, lucky Aiyedatiwa won the 18 local governments. Not even one did you win. Not even the Akure South did you win. So I'm not seeing any reason why you should go to court to obtain the result.
Why I think it's even very funny is because I told you yesterday now that unlike the Edo governor and the whole Edo elections, the other candidate was very ready to fight it.
Yeah.
I read that he had even congratulated Aiyedatiwa upon receiving. So what now made you want to say, let me go to court, let me just give up without a fight? It's quite amazing. But yeah.
Yes, then I also want to talk on this Tompolo. People that knows that Niger Delta well would know that Tompolo is like a, I don't want to use the word, but Tompolo is like one of those oil. I'm trying to use the best word I can think of. So when it comes to oil drilling, oil diversion of oil to personal pocket, diversion of the plugs and this into personal pocket, Tompolo is even in charge of oil in the Niger Delta area. Now, he's saying that the Navy are the one aiding oil thieves in Nigeria, and I could not but agree. I've watched a lot of reports where they would go to one places in Delta State and they will see that, oh, this is where they are diverting the oil to one Navy's personal pocket or one politician's personal pocket. And a whole Tompolo now coming out to say this thing is not possible if without the help of the Navy, which means we are the architect of our own misfortune in Nigeria. We have oil, crude oil, and yet we're still importing every now and then. The people we trust in, the Navy, the Nigerian police, the likes of Tompolo that will put our trust in to help us safeguard our oil in different states, especially in the Niger Delta. The same people had one using one socket, one plug to connect and divert to their personal pocket. It just means that we're not ready to grow. Some people are ready to, we are growing, But as we're growing, someone is putting for it's like a drip.
Yeah.
They're supposed to pass to go in through your body, but someone is just there putting like another. They'll put injection hair. Someone is just like putting injection, taking out the drip that's supposed to go into Nigeria's economy, drawing it out. And before it even gets to Nigeria economy, we have like less than 5% entering Nigeria economy. The rest of it have been pulled out by different forces. We're not ready. I mean, we're really not ready.
That sounds
We're
like
not.
something you see on Instagram. You guys are not ready.
We're not ready.
Okay, let's see what the other papers have to say. The Punch major headline reads, PDP crisis. Damagum to remain chair as NWC state chairman meets. Pro-Wike governors insist on keeping Damagum till October 2025 as NEC meetings top agenda. Tribute as Senate holds valedictory session for late Uba. Ajayi heads to court as Aiyedatiwa gets certificate of return. 4 UK-based Nigerian students jailed over street fight. Agents petition NCAA as foreign airlines sell tickets in dollars. 5 soldiers, 50 terrorists killed. NSCDC agents missing in Borno, Niger. AG uncovers 4.6 billion naira unapproved spending in Umahi's ministry. Dangote refinery begins petrol exports to West African nations. APC PDP governors disagree over oil revenue sharing. And the story I'd like to touch on, because it's been a while I spoke about fuel on this table, so I'm going to touch it again, is the Dangote refinery and private marketers. We know over last 2 weeks, we've been seeing back and forth. Private marketers are saying, okay, we're not going to import again. We're going to buy from Dangote. And after 2 days, we're hearing that they've spent trillions of naira to actually import. But I like this particular news because I feel like it's going to favor Dangote, who is probably at the center of a lot of back and forth. So he has begun exporting fuel, to other West African countries. As a sign to traders said that the mega refineries operation could soon potentially shake up regional fuel markets. A report by Bloomberg on Tuesday, quoting data source from Vortexa and Precise Intelligence, says that a tanker has hauled a shipment of gasoline from the Dangote Petroleum Refinery to waters off the coast of Togo, a neighboring West African country. I think this makes a lot of sense. And, before we always say that the strength of an economy, all right, is when the exports is more than the imports.
Yes.
So even if the private marketers are still going back and forth, like I always say, I feel like this initiative that I've started, I know it might not be so favorable to all the private marketers at first, but it's something that has great potential and hope. And I was expecting that a lot of people will cooperate with Dangote at this point.
So I thought.
Exactly, and not just bond dollars or stream the naira, but it's looking now that Dangote is about to look for other means to still balance things up and help our economy. Because at the end of the day, it's not just the fuel that we're getting or the prices being reduced. It's the fact that the economy at the long run would be better. So that's all I have.
I would just add this to it. I mean, if they are not 1 or 2% in charge of the exporting of our own fuel, instead of us to start using the one we have now, then it means we're not ready to grow. I'm saying we're not ready again because I feel like there are some upper echelon people that have like oil refineries in the likes of Malta or in those countries that we import fuel from, and they are not ready to like start losing. So even if they're ready to like leave out 10%, that 10% will make them lose a lot of money. So for Dangote, I mean, it's a very good job. Well done. If Nigerians are ready to buy from your own estate, please start taking it out of the country. Even if we are not going to profit from the economy and generation from it, but at least it's a good thing that a Nigerian refinery working here is now exporting fuel to other West African countries.
Eventually, the private marketers will still bend because it is going to sound so funny that in your own hometown there's enough fuel, but you'd rather buy outside.
Yeah. Well, that's it on our headlines across the globe this morning. We're going to take a break and we are going to return with our guest. Today's topic is not something you want to miss out. Please stay with us. We'll be back in a jiffy.
Imagine the world where the voices of the youth finally get the spotlight they deserve.
Welcome to Ways Breakfast, the groundbreaking show where young minds unite together to tackle issues that truly matter.
We're flipping the script on traditional morning talk shows, and this is your chance to hear the youth speak out.
We're not just skimming headlines, we're diving deep into the heart of topics that impact us all.
From politics to governance, tech innovations, mental health, and trendy social issues.
We don't just discuss, we ignite conversations that inspire change and spark action.
Join us every morning for fresh, young, and vibrant perspectives
that empowers the next generation to make a difference.
Start your day right with Ways Breakfast, because when the youth speak, the world listens. Ways Breakfast, weekdays at 8 a.m. live on Upgrade TV.
Looking to take your business to the next level through partnerships? Then join us every Thursday at 10 a.m. for Partner Up.
Whether you're an entrepreneur, marketing, sales, or partnership professional, Partner Up is here to give you the tools you need to succeed.
From in-depth interviews with industry experts
to real-world case studies of successful partnership strategies that drive innovation and business growth.
we dive deep into what it takes to form successful partnerships.
Thursdays, 10 a.m.
Don't miss Partner Up.
Life is made up of moments, some that lift us, others that break us. Welcome to Heartlines. This is our space where we explore the beauty, the heartbreaks, and the incredible strength that every relationship brings into our lives. Friendship, marriages, partnerships, and everything in between.
Yes, say yes.
All the connections that shapes who we are today. Every week, we dive into the stories that define us. Stories of love, loss, heartbreaks, and healing. Real life stories from real people, just like you and I. Heartlines is where emotions meet understanding, and where we learn that we're never truly alone. Join me Mondays through Fridays at 9:30 p.m. for Heartlines, where we connect with every heart, one story at a time.
Nigeria, by extension, Africa, is faced with a lot of challenges.
With the growing youth population and very little engagement.
That is a ticking time bomb.
We're blessed people with a diverse culture who have a lot to say.
And yes, we are talking.
It is important we drive conversations that informs, inspires, and influences thoughts and actions.
If we say there is beauty in diversity, then let us embrace our diverse culture.
We must continue to courageously be the voice of transformation.
As we are the hope for the future.
Yesterday's conversation shaped today.
What are you saying to shape your tomorrow?
We know you have a lot to say, and we are here to hear you.
Glad to have you back. Today we've got an interesting one for you. And by this one, I mean, we're talking about homes, as home for many of us is where we live in. In a bustling city like Lagos State, as we all know, Lagos has become a city of opportunity, but it has also become a city of extreme housing costs. From bustling streets of Victoria Island to the green neighborhoods of Lekki, and even out of the mainland housing, prices continue to soar by the minute. The dream of owning a house or even renting a decent apartment seems to be slipping further away from the average Nigerians, with many forced to live in suboptimal conditions or at the fringe of the city. So the big question is, can affordable housing ever become a reality in Nigeria, more specifically in Lagos State? To help us tackle this critical issue, we are joined by an expert in the field, Temidayo Oloyede, the CEO of Edla Homes. Temidayo is a seasoned marketing and sales professional with an impressive background working with multinational companies like P&G, GT Bank, Sterling Bank. He is also a YPD fellow and an alumnus of institutions like Yabatech, Unilag, and Product Dive. With his vast experiences, Temidayo has developed a keen interest in building affordable real estate projects, whether residential, commercial, or recreational, that will not only serve the community but generate cash flows and high investment yields. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be exploring the perspective of the housing market in Lagos State, and we'll dive into some thought conversations and questions about the visibility of affordable housing solutions in Lagos State. Temidayo Oloyede, thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning.
Good morning. I forgot to add that he's a gym enthusiast with all his beautiful design. He's a gym enthusiast. You know, so fast.
Thank you.
The topic for today is, can affordable housing become a reality in Nigeria? And I would like to ask by the general questions. How much do you pay for rent in Lagos? Let's start from there.
Are we asking
We are asking all of us.
All of us.
How much do you pay for rent in Lagos? Then say if it's mainland or highland. So let's know if it's worth it or not.
Mainland forever anyways, but I pay between the ranges of 800 to 1.5.
For what type of apartment?
I don't want to tell
Studio
you.
apartment.
Good apartment. 800 to 1.5.
Oh boy.
So I live in a cave, actually.
Cave man.
And I don't pay for housing because landlords in Lagos want to take life out of us. But on a more serious note, the range is between, I feel someone answering this question somehow though, but the range is between, let's say 500 to 700,000 naira in a month, and mainland, of course.
All right. Before we even continue, we forgot to introduce Oki. She was not a part of us in the early hours of the show.
Good morning, guys. I'm so sorry. Lagos, as usual.
Yeah, Lagos as usual.
Exactly.
Yes. For me, I pay between the range of 600 to 800,000 naira for a mini space in Lagos. And
with kitchen inside.
I'm so happy that we have a guest here. I mean, we've seen a lot of videos online where people have talked about the experiences. If I should talk about my own experience when I was trying to look for a house. I mean, I got a gig via TikTok, so I was making a video. Property Pro had to invite me to talk about, please tell us, what did you go through? Because I went through a whole lot, and it's worse by the day. You see an apartment here, there are so many terms and conditions. And I want to start by asking, why is it that agent commission everything is 20% and more than our annual rent? Please, let's start from there before we start breaking it.
Okay. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here today. So what I would just say as regards the agency part is, I think from my experience, what I've seen that is normal is at least 10% for agency, 10% for legal. You know, the real estate market generally is an agency market where without the agents, you obviously will not get your target customers or your target audience to get your apartments. So if a developer has built a property and you either want to sell the apartment or you want to rent it out, it's important for you to incentivize the agents so that they can, push your property. And at the end of the day, because for developers or for property builders, say you as an individual that has built a property, you obviously want to get a return on investment. So it's important that that property in no time is rented off the market or sold off the market. So, however, what I know is ideal should be around 10%, not 20%.
So why are you not fighting for the 10% and why do we have 20%?
So, for different people, so the real estate market in Nigeria is not a regulated market per se. So for different people, they just do what works for them. And obviously, I think at that point in time, it's the government that can now regulate and say, oh, for agency, this should be what you should charge. For legal, this would be what it should be charged, so that we don't have people just... because I'm of the opinion that for affordable housing, you shouldn't be paying more than, for example, if you're earning 1 million per annum, you shouldn't be paying more than 30% of your annual income on rent.
That's when you are staying in other southwest states that's not Lagos.
No, I'm just saying,
Generally.
Generally, for the standard of
ideal.
affordable housing,
Okay.
by standard, you shouldn't be paying more than the 3.3% of your annual income on rent. So
But that's not what it is.
That's not what it is. So let me just start the conversation before I lead it on to my co-anchors. What exactly is driving rents and prices of properties in Lagos? I mean, in my area, you will hear quarter, because they no longer sell full plots or half plots. They sell just quarter, and with quarter, you'll be hearing like 10 million for a quarter plot, 15 million for a quarter plot, and they want to build. Like, you see the build, we barely have parking space in the quarter because we bought a quarter plot. And the quarter plot, there's the street you want to take away road and every other thing. What exactly is driving the cost of housing in Nigeria? Because it's no longer a legal state thing.
All right, great. So there are three things that determine or generally affect construction or housing projects. Number one is cost of land. Number two is cost of construction. That's cost of building. Number three is cost of finance. And so I'll explain all of these things. So cost of land is how much it costs you to buy the land. Generally, land is expensive because you need land to build, right?
Yes.
So it's just like you being a manufacturer. If you don't have the manufacturing equipment, you cannot manufacture that product. So that's basically the land, right? The land is what you need to be able to produce what you need to produce, right? The cost of land is expensive, generally in Lagos or everywhere. So when you leave the cost of land, if you now have the land, right, it now means that you now need to build on the land. Cost of construction. Cost of construction is usually the same thing everywhere. Either you're building in Lagos, you're building in Calabar, you're building in Abuja. It's generally the same thing. What can just be a bit different is the cost of labor that can be cheaper or relatively more expensive.
Materials.
Yeah, or cost of materials. So maybe in Ibadan, cost of wood can be a bit cheaper because it's close to where you get close to forest and where you can be able to get those wood materials. And it can be a bit expensive in Lagos. So it just depends. But the cost generally on the average is close to the same thing, right? So the third one is the cost of finance, either as a developer or as a customer. So generally, most developers are business people, right? And you need to find, most times you don't have money, you don't have the capital to finance the project. So it means you have to go and borrow. And generally, to borrow funds to be able to finance a project, you'll be charged interest rates. And most of the interest rates you get is usually above inflation. Inflation determines the interest rates. And we have seen inflation around about 3.3% thereabouts. And it means that an average interest for finance will be obviously more than 33.3%. So if you're already getting an expensive finance, it means that the cost of the house will be expensive. So if I'm borrowing 100 million and I'm spending that 100 million to build a property, and in repaying that money, I'm paying back 140 million. It means that originally that property I'm building
is 140.
What do you say?
It will be like 140.
Exactly, that's the cost of that property. Because my cost of finance is there. So cost of construction is the 100 million, right? But now cost of finance is now 140 million. So it means that if I want to sell, I have to sell above my cost of, I have to add a profit margin to my 140 million to be able to sell. So it means that generally if I add the 100 million without borrowing that money, right, which most people do not have, I could have maybe put my profit margin to around 120 and sold the property for 120. But now, if I put my profit margin on that 140, it means I have to sell for 160. So, like I said, the three major cost elements, cost of land, cost of construction, and cost of finance, are what drives construction or housing projects, really.
I'd say that this is a very interesting breakdown, and it's good that it's coming from somebody who is a professional in that field, because the average human, we are agitated when we hear the cost of these things. We're like, what's this nonsense? Let me just go to Ogun State, to Ibadan. Houses are cheaper over there. But now, you've mentioned cost of finances. Before, we used to see people purchasing lands, and land was good investment. So, you hear people say, if you have 20 million now, what are you going to buy? And somebody will say, buying land is better than buying a car, because land was seen as good investment. But I don't think that is the case anymore. Now, I'll let you know why. You've even mentioned some of it. After getting the land, to build on the land, to get a developer who's going to help you with everything till the finished product is actualized, is a whole lot of money. And I'm wondering if I'm going to get the returns of that, my investment. So we now see people, throwing the options of short-let apartments where they begin to invest in short-let. They'll just have a unit of a particular apartment, and they have somebody that is like the middleman or so. That's my own investment. So I want to ask, do you think that this new form of investment is taking away that original land buying and purchasing we used to have 5, 6, 7 years ago?
Okay. Not entirely. So I'll explain that with different models. Okay. So in investing in real estate, there are different ways to invest in real estate. Okay. You can do land banking. However, there's a strategy to land banking. And when you're buying land, you don't just buy land because you want to buy land. For example, if somebody shows you a land in Yaba and says, oh, and your motive for buying this land, for land banking or for land purchase, 2 motives. Some people are buying for investment, some people are buying to build, right? So generally, people that buy to build, for example, if I buy a land, I don't want to do business with it, I just want to build on it. I might not be profit-driven, right? Okay. I can just build a mansion for myself. I'm not looking at profits. But if you're looking at profit, there's a strategy to that. And the strategy is around, because there are a couple of things that drive growth in real estate generally. For housing projects or for property valuation, if you see growth in the property, for example, you buy a property for 100 million and the property is going to 120 or 150 million, there has to be something that is driving that growth. Most times, are infrastructure. For example, in Yaba, along Unila Road, I bought a property for one of my clients about early last year for 150, and we checked different options. And my direction or my thought process for that property purchase was around, they are doing this road. When they finish doing this road, property will be selling for at least 200 million. Yeah. Today, on Unilag Road, I don't know if you know Unilag, Chemist Marco, currently they're selling a plot of land for 250 million.
Interesting.
So
that's just between last year
and this year.
Are you saying house or land?
Land. Either if a house is on the land, it's still, do you understand? Yeah. Because most times you want to demolish what is there. Yes, okay. So what you're really buying is the land as a value to you. So, but somebody else could have taken that 150 million to go to somewhere else and go to purchase. However, if you look at between last year and today, there's no growth in that property. So that's why for different locations, there are different drivers. And some locations have gotten to the peak of its valuation. If you buy in some locations, for example, if you have 1 billion naira and you want to really you want to squeeze out growth or profit out of that money, there needs to be a strategy to buying properties with that money, right? You cannot just carry 1.5 billion to go and buy properties at somewhere that's already gotten to its peak of valuation, right? So for some places, there's no how that property can go. Like, for example, there's some areas where they have gotten to their valuation peak already. There's nothing that can happen that can make property times 2 in that property, in that location again.
This is like?
It's relative, right? And the reason I said it's relative is because I don't want to mention any particular area. Okay. But the point is that when we, as business people, because it's what we do, right? We buy properties, we build, we know the market, we know what the market is saying, right? But the point is that when we are buying properties, we try to just see what is the growth potential, like I said. If there's no atom of growth potential in this location, I won't buy, because it just means that, because some areas, when you buy property, go next year, property is still selling for 150 billion in that area. Yeah. So that's just where I'm going, that's just where I'm driving to. So basically, number one is things that drive growth in real estate, basically population growth, people are moving to a particular area, other than the other areas. Secondly is infrastructure. Things are going on in that area. And if government is doing roads, drainage, all of those things, it will drive growth in that area. So all of these things, and businesses also, if business activities are moving more in a particular area, property will go up. Because
so you're saying that land investing is not going to fade off and people are just going to be focusing on short-let investing?
No. So, I just spoke about land investing. Yes. Now. Good. Now, that is just land. Now, when it comes to property and apartments, now, if you buy an apartment, land is different from apartments. If you buy a land for land banking, I've explained the strategy to land banking. Now, if you buy a property or apartment for profits or returns, there are different value chains. There's rentals. Generally in Lagos, if you buy a property for any amount, it takes you at least 20 years to make your money back. Check
20 years?
Yes. At least 20 years. Check it for, maybe you buy a 2-bedroom apartment in Yaba for 80 million. average rent in that particular location should be around maybe 3.54 million. If you do a fixed valuation, calculate times 20. However, in Lagos, every 3 or 4 years, rent increase by at least 30%. So it means if you are paying 3.5 for rent this year, by year 4, expect to be paying around 3.84 million naira. So, but I like to, for investment analysis, I like to just make everything plain because it's worst case scenario for investors. So, because you can say in the next 4 years and nothing really goods as projected. Now that is rentals. Second one, the one we're now seeing growth now is shortlet. And the major reason why shortlet is seeing a lot of growth is because you make your money daily.
Okay.
And by the time you do that calculation, if you get a good occupancy rate, I know some people that bought properties for shortlets on the island, places like maybe Lekki Phase, maybe Ologola and the likes, or even Lekki Phase 1. And because they're not getting good occupancy. So, and one thing I always see people do is because they're saying shortlet, you are going to do it without understanding. Just like saying people are making money in crypto. You carry your money and go and do crypto without understanding the technicalities behind those things. You will not make money like people that are doing it well. Yes, people make money, but there's a way to doing it, right? So for shortlets, your marketing has to be solid, your interior has to be solid, your management has to be solid because running costs is what kills shortlet apartments. So yes, but shortlet generally is a great way to increase your profitability because for shortlets you can reduce that 20 years return on investment period to about 8 years, 7 years.
Thank you very much. We need to take a break now. When we come back, I like to talk about it from the consumer's perspective. We're talking about it from investors, then you as the CEO of a housing estate angle. I want to talk about it from our own angle, the view at which we are seeing it. You'll be talking about millions. We Nigerians barely see millions on like a 6-month basis. Yeah. Right after this break, we'll come back to continue the conversation. Please stick around. Glad to have you back. It's still West Breakfast. Hashtag what are you saying? And we are having a conversation. Can housing become affordable in Nigeria? Our guest, Mr. Temidayo, is still here with the CEO of Edda Homes. And we have been speaking from the investor's perspective since. But right now, we're going to talk about from the average Nigerian's perspective. Kiki, over to you.
So I've had like 6 questions boggling my mind as you have been speaking, and I've been waiting for the opportunity to ask you. But I'll go back to like the first things that you said, which I think you said that if you're earning at least 1 million naira per month, you should be spending 30%
annually.
Is it annually?
Annually.
He said
annually. Yeah.
Annually, you should be spending annually, yes 30% of that money. But you see cases that you're spending like the whole annual income in rent. That's minus upkeep and all of that stuff. So is there a case where there is declaration of funds where most people, from the landlord's aspect, can tell that you can afford this housing over 1 year? Because you see, even in cases where if you pay this year, the following year is always an impossible task and you have to look for somewhere else. It's either you go back to living wherever you don't want to live or you now start squatting with somebody. So is there a situation where they declare their asset, just like in public office where you declare your asset and say that this is how much I earn, so therefore I'll be able to afford this house? Or is there another aspect where if you see Lagos houses, that's the one that the Lagos State government have created, you do affidavit, declaration of age, fund analysis, this one, that one, and still yet is not affordable. You also see religious leaders build an estate claiming that is for the good of the people, and you still see houses around 1 million, 2 million naira, where the average church goer or mosque attendant cannot even afford it. So I just want to know, first off, is there a case where people can declare their assets, or is there a case where people declare their assets before you can purchase a house, especially for people that purchase houses of like 150 million, especially on lease? I think there's also the case of lease. So if somebody is going to lease an apartment or maybe a land, do they have to declare their assets?
Okay, great. Before I answer that question, I'll just speak on something you have said. So for example, this mug now, if the cost of producing this mug is 1,000 naira, like everybody knows the cost of producing this mug is 1,000 naira. I cannot sell this mug as a business person less than 1,000 naira. I have to put a profit margin.
Yeah.
So I don't blame people that. So the fact that an average person cannot afford that 1,000 naira does not mean that that mug is still not affordable, because the cost of that mug is still 1,000 naira. It's just like what we're saying as regards petrol now. When they wanted to increase, they were saying Nigerians could not afford 150, more than 180 something for fuel, right? But really, if you look at it, the cost of producing that fuel is less than, so the government is subsidizing it, right? And we could not afford it. Do you understand? So it doesn't mean that the fuel is not affordable. The point is just that the cost of that fuel is what the problem is. So now, the problem is the cost is high, but an average person cannot afford it. So it now has to be an earning problem, not a cost problem. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So now, get on not answering your question in terms of, so you asked a question as regards declaration of assets, yes. So on our own end, right, before we rent any apartment to anybody, because the way we are structured is, we are structured as a full-fledged real estate company where we are in the entire value chain of an investor. So from the point you buy an apartment to the point we deliver the apartment to you, we help you manage your apartment, help you ensure that your tenants are well handled to remit rent to you timely. Because most of these clients do not have time. For example, you are working in the media sector and you bought an apartment. You don't have time to go and be looking for tenants. You don't have time to go and be managing tenants and be following up and say, oh, you have not paid rent. And if that whole process is not well managed for you, you have a lot of lag. The time you are supposed to be using to make money on that property, you'll be used to be managing clients, be sending quick notice, be doing this, be doing that. Do you understand? Yeah. So on our own end, in our tenancy management process, we ensure that if somebody, so we do screening for tenants. We don't accept all the tenants, right? And most of our properties, because of the kind of finishing we give to them, they're always very, very competitive in terms of rentals. So the point is, we do screening and we collect data of customers down to income level. If we feel that somebody cannot afford an apartment and they can only afford first year, we won't rent it to that person. You know why? Because the moment you're supposed to be, the time you're supposed to be using to enjoy cash flow on that property, you're using to be pushing tenants. When are you paying now? And tenants, trust me, tenancy management is crazy. So, like I said, on our own end, we are very, very strict with our application for tenancy and ensure that only people that can afford their properties get the apartment. So that's to avoid. I've seen a tenant that is taking landlord of an apartment to court over rent he has not paid.
Yes,
I think plenty stories.
I know the tenancy law is to protect the tenants majorly.
Yeah.
Just the same way consumer act is to protect the consumer. Do you understand?
Customer is always right.
Like consumer is always right. So the point is, so that you just avoid some unnecessary back and forth in that process. At the first instance, ensure the person you are accepting to your apartment can afford it, first of all.
I think from
Thank
Shola,
you.
I'm so sorry, Shola.
Okay, please go ahead.
I think you have been saying so many things about the fact that married, I think we've had so many conversations about married or married before they can rent an apartment.
Going to go there.
Okay, go there. Okay.
So we have a couple of videos that I like to play, even though we might not need to play them with the audios, but I like that to just be displaying on the screen while we're talking. So in Lagos, I mean, I've gone through house hunting, proper house hunting. And I can tell you for a fact that it is no joke.
Yeah.
I've seen houses where agents are the one inflating the house.
Yeah.
And I like to really talk about it.
Okay.
I do not understand where I have to pay 200K for an apartment and my total package is going to 1.5 million.
Okay.
Because it ended up being 1.5 year rent. And it's crazy. And the rules, as a single lady, you cannot have this. I had to go and look for a man to tell them, okay, I'm married, but he stays on the island and we'll be coming home on weekends. It's no fun.
Makes sense.
All of these rules.
You said
make
No,
sense.
I'm getting your points.
I've lost 2 houses before because I was a journalist. The caretaker told me that he cannot give his house to journalists. This man gave it to someone that works with Union Bank.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what are all these unnecessary rules a normal thing in Lagos?
Okay.
And then I need you to answer in one word. Can affordable also be a reality in Lagos State?
Okay.
Yes
So after
or
I
no?
answer this question, or
Yes. First answer that one.
Okay.
Yes or no? Talk from a tenant perspective.
From a tenant's perspective. Okay. I think affordable housing can be a reality in Nigeria.
Really?
That's hopeful.
That's hopeful. Okay, then you
Should
can
I
answer
ask the
my
definition
question.
of affordable? Because we're just shouting affordable.
Because they
Can
said a
cheap
cup is
housing-
1,000
No,
Can cheap housing-
You know, affordability is relative to different people.
Exactly. That's why I had to
Look
ask.
at this housing. They've taken me to spaces that are really worse. You will see a place where the bedroom, you have to maintain size 6
300K.
if you want to keep entering your bedroom. The moment you add 1 inch like this, you cannot enter your house anymore. And you'll be seeing, you go to Agege or this Yano Paja acts that
They
you
say,
thought
please-
housing will be
I'm so sorry.
affordable.
They say, please note, the compound is crowded. That is called face me, I slap you.
Do you understand?
There's nothing.
I've been to places where I was told water view. I say water view on the mainland.
Interesting.
This is the water view.
Oh, amazing.
This is the water view. Because when I had water view on the mainland, I
You
said,
don't have to pay for swimming.
And today, houses I used to think used to be 1-bedroom apartments. Now
They've been
they
cut
can do
into
4-bedroom, library, study, everything will fit into that small
why
space.
is all of these things happening?
Okay.
If
So-
you should defend any landlord.
No, I'm not defending. I'm not defending. I like to be.
And then,
Yeah.
why is it that
Objective
Lagos
response.
housing, where I came from, when you want to rent a space, there's wardrobe already, there's kitchen cabinet already, there are those basic things. In Lagos, you are renting only a room without a bird inside.
You
You
look
do your
up to
kitchen
God.
cabinet, you do your wardrobe, you fix everything fixable. In fact, you will repaint. You will even fix toilet seats. Landlord will literally tell you, landlord agents will literally tell you, we don't have to fix anything, and you collect your money complete. You collect 20% agent. And why don't they return our caution fee? Please answer all of this. I have plenty of questions. Please answer
Great,
them.
great. Okay, so let me just come from the first question, which is agents inflate prices.
Yes.
So what I always tell people to do is, because most times if somebody reaches out to me for an apartment and we don't have a property that's ready at that point in time for rent, I just refer them to agents. And one thing I always tell them to do is, if you are renting the apartment, ensure you meet the landlord. Because the agent, they like to always play in silos. They say, pay to this account. That might not be the landlord account. So they will now be the ones to remit. Most times, if the landlord is aware of how much they are charging, the landlord will not, because the landlord will be like, me that I build a house, I'm not charging this amount. You want to know. Do you understand? So ensure that you meet the landlord and you communicate all of these things, and ensure that the landlord consents to that price they are giving. Do you understand? Most times the landlord don't know. That's
My
what
own
I'm
landlord
saying.
used to share commission and agency. I kid you not.
They also do that also. So at that point in time, it just means that if you cannot pay for that house, there's no point trying to, because the landlord is now a party to that. Do you understand?
Routine.
He's now a party to that activity. So there's really nothing that can be done realistically. Now, on the reason I said interesting when you were speaking was, I wanted to get a 2-bedroom apartment in Bagada. I was trying to move I was staying in Yaba before. I was staying in a 1-bed. I wanted to move to a 2-bed. And, I saw an apartment that I really, really liked. as a property person now, when you see something really, like I was even going ahead to tell the agent, that guy, I beg, even if it means paying more, to even just help me secure this place. They did their application, I did everything. They made me go to La Sierra to go and do Lagos State residential. Yeah. I don't have that, right? So I went to do that, and that thing took a whole day. But I did it because I wanted the apartment. So after doing all of those things, I saw the marital status,
single or young couple.
Me, I'm like, I don't understand. I don't need to lie about being married. So I put my single list in there, and they didn't accept me because I was not married. I was very pained because I really liked the apartment. But you know, one thing about me is when I see stuffs, and so like I explained before, people have had different scenarios, or people have had different experiences. So when people come with their policy for the apartments, by law is the apartment, they can decide who to give the apartment to. Do you understand? So I was very pissed, but when I looked at it when I just thought about it again, the point was just that maybe this person has had issues with single guys. The way single guys live, they can live very carelessly. Do you understand? So I just said, okay, this person might not be. I also don't believe that there's no right or wrong answers, right? This person might just feel like, for me, I want a tenant that his life is already
put together. Qualifies married people to be able to afford rent.
No, it's not even affordability now.
That is
it's not affordability that is the issue now. You know, after somebody can afford the apartment, you need to also be sure that this person will not give you problems.
Responsible.
Do you understand? So I feel like to an extent, maybe married people, so maybe married people to an extent are more responsible than single people. So that can also be a point, or that can also be an angle at it. But my whole point is just that people have different reasons, and because you don't want to, at that point that's the only point you can control as a landlord.
Yes.
Who to give apartment. Once you give the apartment to that person, by your tenancy agreement, it gives you a contract. You cannot evict that person without giving the person 6 months quick notice. Yeah. So landlords are usually, because they are the ones spending money to build the property. So they're always very, very careful, or as regards who to give the apartment. They don't want headache. So that's my own view about that.
I'm so sorry. We really have to go in the next 1 minute. But I like to ask on a final note, what do you have to say about the affordability of rent in Lagos State? Speak from the landlord angle, the agent angle, and real estate owners like you.
So the agent angle, I strongly believe that the agency angle needs to be well regulated.
Thank you very much for saying this.
I strongly believe that it needs to be well regulated. That's one. Then the landlord's angle. So the landlords are basically business people. Nobody.
My house literally went from 800K to 1.4 without doing anything.
Yeah. They will say inflation, right? Or we will say inflation.
Okay, thank you for using we.
Yeah, we will say inflation. So for the landlords, because you cannot give, like I explained before, if the cost of this thing is 1,000 naira, you cannot give. You know, when I saw that video of an apartment that is inside trenches and they're saying 300K, in that trenches, whether it's trenches or not, like I explained, cost of construction is the same thing everywhere. To do just POP for that room that is in trenches, it's the same thing to do POP for somewhere in Lekki. Do you understand? The same squiddy materials, the same board, the same lights. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So I would not blame people that are charging 300K because it's the cost of that stuff. Now, so solution is that the developers cannot really do anything, or the builders cannot do anything. So, and I strongly believe that the government needs to, if we really want to solve the housing deficit and make it more affordable, if you cannot do anything in isolation of the government if you want to really solve problems on the social level. So
we really have to go now. I'm so sorry, we're out of time. I mean, we should have a part 2 of this conversation.
We should
really have a part 2 of this conversation.
Dear
viewers at home, do not worry. Follow him on all social media platforms. Follow us on other social media platforms as well, so you can have a continuation of this conversation. So we'll come your way again tomorrow morning. My bad. Thank you very much, Mr. Temidayo, for coming. Thank you for your insight. Oluchi Okiki, thank you very much. Let's do this again tomorrow. So we'll come your way again tomorrow. Please stay sharp.
Hello, you. Yes, you. This is Osayome Sale from Ways Primetime. Now, we appreciate your continued support for watching our content, following us across all our social media. But we've noticed, for those of you watching us on YouTube, 88.5% of you who watch our content aren't subscribed to our channel. Why? Now, if you are enjoying our content, you enjoy our shows, and you want to stay updated on all things Ways, it's time to hit that subscribe button below. Now, subscribing isn't just for you. It's for the growth of our channel. It helps us get bigger and better. With your support, we can continue to bring even more intriguing and exciting content. How about you subscribing right now and being a part of our community?